Yep. Hello, everyone. Good.
Okay, test, test, test. Good evening, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. It works? Perfect. We're about to get started, so please find a seat whenever you can.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you for being here tonight. Please have a seat. Rita, you can't stay like this, please. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Bruno. I'm a lead product manager at Conto. And what the fuck is this thing doing here? So thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this new product story session. Before we start and before we go to the cool things, I'm sorry to let you know that tonight we won't have food or drinks due to some restrictions that you may be aware of. And actually, we are just about to cancel this one, so we could do it, but it might be the last one before, let's say, January or February. So thank you for being here. Please enjoy. So now to start with the cool things, tonight we'll discuss about one topic that is still in its infancy in Europe and actually it's still at baby stage in France. I will start about the product marketing management. What is product marketing management? What are the people who are doing it? Where do they come from? What is the right formation, the right training to do so? and what are they actually responsible for? Or do they interact with PMs and so on? And to answer this question, we're really lucky to have two great product marketing managers with us tonight. Pauline Beaugrain from Open Classrooms and Ferida Schwantner, really hard to pronounce, from here, from Conto. So please make a bit of noise for her and we'll start.
Thank you so much for this introduction and more importantly for pronouncing my last name correctly. That was really impressive. I guess we just take maybe a minute or so to introduce ourselves.
Exactly.
I'll pass it on first to our amazing guests. So thank you for making it all the way here to Conto and being with us, Pauline.
Thank you. So hello, I'm Pauline. I work at Open Classrooms. For those who don't know, Open Classrooms is an online school. So we offer courses and diplomas to students, but also professional trainings for companies. And yeah, maybe we speak. Let's have a bit of overview. So I started working in the US after my studies a long time ago. I worked in marketing back in time. Then I moved back to France, working at customer experience. Then moved slowly to product management. This was for SNCF, so the big railway company. Then I did a big move to Open Classrooms, so from big corporate to a small startup, scale up now. And I was first doing product management and starting doing product marketing a bit more than 1 year ago. And we'll explain why and how after.
Thank you very much. So nice also to have an external speaker. So thank you for coming. Hi, everyone. My name is Teresa Schwantner, as Bruno already mentioned. I'm originally from Austria and have actually lived all over the place. So I started my studies in London and then moved to Boston for 1 year, study abroad, and then started working for a startup in London, but then moved to Dublin to start working for LinkedIn. Literally held probably every single role that exists at LinkedIn, from analytics to branding to marketing to sales. So very, very customer facing, all of them, to ultimately being the first person to move into product from sales directly. So you can imagine a lot of raised eyebrows from the Stanford grads as to what she's doing here. But it was incredible to start product marketing basically at LinkedIn, launching their first big product that they had launched in a long time called Talent Insights. And then wanted to move back from, sorry, that was also in New York, missed that spot. So moved from Dublin to New York, also worked in the US like Pauline, and then moved to WeWork, where I worked on building an enterprise brand for the WeWork company. And Conto is actually the scale up and one of the biggest customers now for WeWork, which is great. And then worked on the global all access pass during the pandemic where no one could actually go into offices. So it was a forced product innovation. And then lastly, moving from London to Paris because it's the best place to be. So I'm really excited to be a Parisienne now.
I really enjoy French food, believe me.
Thanks.
So my first question tonight will actually not be for you, but for you, ladies and gentlemen. Among you, can I know if we have PMM in the room tonight? So do we have product marketing manager actually? Oh, actually more than we expected. Nice. And I guess all the others, do we have product managers maybe? Cool, okay. And other functions, I guess. Cool, not that many. Among the PMs, do you have PMM in your team? You can raise the hand if you have PMM in the team. Okay, only 2 actually. That's really interesting. So maybe the first question for the people who are not that aware of the topic will be really stupid, but what the fuck is product marketing management?
That's a good one. I've read a lot of definition. One was everything in between marketing and product. I think that might not be the best definition. But usually people think about launching products, and it's true, it's part of what we do. So we need to make sure people understand what the product is about and what is the value out of it. So totally aware with that line, but we usually forget the market research part, which is really understanding what's happening in the market, in the competition, trying to really understand the strengths we have and how we can compete, not only strictly about features, but globally, and then trying to dig in with product managers into the product parts.
You summed it up perfectly. No, the way I usually say it is that we are the conduits between really all internal teams, prospects, customers, and then product. So we really are the ones who are trying to reflect as much as possible the higher level needs and pain points of customers and translate them into the product features that we build together with the PM, obviously. Does that make sense for everyone? Do we now know? That's great.
It's pretty high level, as you said. Maybe you have an example of concrete things you worked on lately, so it's going to be more concrete for the audience?
Yeah, sure. So we cover a wide scope from B2C to B2B to B2G. We might speak G for government. So it's we do a lot. But if I take a B2B as an example, we do a lot of research, very early stage, like trying to see and share market signals. For instance, a big fundraising or switch from competitors to more of a B2B market products. So this is really early, trying to really watch what's happening and digest that and share that with all the company. Then we can deep dive into specific parts of the products. So if we take B2B again as an example, we looked at the specificities of a persona that is HR inside companies. We come from B2C, so we didn't know HR that well. So we really had to better understand what they were looking for, what was the key value that would attract them. So again, early stage, trying to give information to the product, but product managers, but also to all the team to understand why we were doing that and why we would change our strategy that way. And then after things happen and we build brand new things. So for instance, B2B again, we build a brand new admin platform for HR professional to be able to manage the team, see the KPIs, have analytics inside the platform. For that, we did many things to make sure internally and externally people will understand the value of what we've done. So it's about doing many demos and make sure we have a demo platform to perform the demo well. From many one-pagers, presentation, videos, a lot of videos, and especially today, we would rather record ourselves with a small video showing the platform, showing the way it works, rather than doing too many meetings if we can, and repeating, simplifying a lot, because when you have a product manager coming, obviously you're so proud of what you've done for months, and that's totally normal, but we need to simplify to make sure everyone can understand what's happening. So yeah, I think that's.
Anything, Teresa?
I mean, that's super thorough already for the launch and the actual adoption. I think something that I would like to add, just something that we started only doing recently, is really looking at whether or not our customers are using the product in the right way. So that's something we honestly we don't forget, but the priority is launch, 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 especially if, I don't know, how many of you work in like startups and scale-ups? Okay, well, so you're probably in that phase right now. Let's launch everything. So that's incredible. But what we've learned really quickly at Conto, and maybe I'll say one sentence because I know you're all in our office, but I'm not sure how well you all know our product. So maybe I'll say a quick sentence of what we do. We are a B2B service for financial management. And so that starts with a normal basic bank account to the extent to having bookkeeping, spend management, cash flow, analytics, insights, and more. And so for us, it's of course really complex to make sure that the right person adopts the right type of product. And so I'll give you an example as to what we also did, what Pauline just mentioned of doing first the research, the positioning, the messaging, the launch of a bookkeeping feature. It's actually called Invoice Forward. So it's the ability to, when you receive an invoice from Uber or whatever in your inbox, instead of then PDFing that, then going onto Conto, finding the transaction, uploading it manually, you can actually just forward it to a unique email address and that's done for you. It's automatically attached. Sounds like a no-brainer and everyone should be using it. What we realized though is after we've launched, we had set KPIs of adoption that we were expecting. And after 3 months, when we checked back in, we actually did not achieve what we were hoping to do. So what that was kind of a different type of product marketing almost for us, because we had to become really creative and firstly understand why is no one adopting this brilliant feature. Of course we all love it. We understand it's amazing. So we don't understand why our customers don't see it. So what we realized actually was by digging deeper and doing customer interviews, that first of all, the data matching wasn't accurate at 100% of the time. So once you've tried it once and it doesn't work, you're not going to do it again. So that was a big pain point for us. Secondly, discoverability in app wasn't great. So we realized that you had to click 3 times to actually find your unique email address. Again, not so straightforward. And thirdly, we realized that we actually need to educate in general as to why you should be attaching your receipts. Like, what does that help you for bookkeeping in general? So from that, we did a lot of like educational videos, how-to videos. We updated FAQs. We actually found a Gmail trick, in case you guys care and want to use that. You can add a formula and it does it all for you. So another way of looking at product marketing that's probably going to come soon in your stages, definitely do think about what adoption success metric might look like. And then if you're not meeting it, why?
Thanks. One question I have as a PM, actually, part of everything you described is highly linked to the PM job, is actually part of the PM job. When you discuss about raising the pain points for the customer, about the roadmap, about actually measuring the success, about discovering what's wrong in the product, how do you interact with the PMs? How do you make sure that you can help them without maybe taking their jobs?
I'll start, maybe. Just to clarify, PMM will never take the PM job. I just want to be really clear. We're an addition and we're a nice like married couple at work, but we're definitely not trying to steal anyone's job. So really good point. When I just quickly looking at capabilities and I think more skill sets, what PMs are amazing at is the technical standpoint. Like, you guys really understand, you dive deep, you understand how tech things, what they do, how they work, what they dream about. You really have that special capability. And then you are really specific to the feature itself. And then when you look at competitors, you look at how are they actually developing the certain feature. When it comes to product marketing, we actually look at a slightly different angle. We look at our expertise sits within the commercial mindset. So we look at, okay, how can it sell? We need to make sure that we pitch it internally so that someone who is a, like, I don't know, let's say a customer success manager wants to really convince the customer to use this feature because they know that eventually this might help them upsell, and how do they basically get them there? So I think we have a bit more of a commercial aspect to the way we work. And also when we do research on our side, we actually look at the positioning of a competitor. We look at like, how do they communicate? Do they even communicate about it? How would they try to educate someone? What do we think is necessary? What channels do they use? So it's really our job to be the internal evangelist, plus understanding more like the, again, external commercial facing aspect of it. So without one, there is no other. So we need each other to make a successful product.
What a wonderful couple.
I don't know if you want to add, sorry.
Yeah, for us, it's what is specific. We don't have one product marketing manager for one product manager. First, because we are less product marketing managers than product managers, but also because we do not only work with product management, we also work with the learning team. So it's the team internally that is working on the content. So actually creating the trainings we are selling. It's a big piece of what we sell. It should come with the platform and the experience. So one of our role is also to bridge the gap and do the link between those two teams. And speaking back again for product managers directly, there is something great that we do. So every month we have one day about improvement of the way we collaborate, the way we work. So we don't speak about projects, we just speak about a methodology, how we can better collaborate. And it's mixed teams between PM and PMMs working together. They can pick actually the topic they feel is the most important to improve. So it can be how to better communicate about the roadmap. It could be how to better share priorities. It can be also, oh, I built this template and this might be useful for product marketing too. Or let's watch the last videos we've done, and etc. So many different topics. And it's something that works quite well. And it's also creates a team feeling, and it's something very important to succeed, I believe.
Thanks. You mentioned it about the roadmap. You said that there are actually two things to do. It's to build it and to communicate about it. What is the input from the product marketing team on this one? How do you put inputs there, and how do you help communicating internally and maybe even externally? I know that it's a big challenge, especially for us. I'm not sure everyone is aware of that, but we reach 500 employees just like last month. and the company is going bigger and bigger every day, actually. It's really hard to make sure that everyone is aligned, everyone is on board with the roadmap and everything's building. So how can you help the PM team on that?
You want me to take Sure, the roadmap question. So first, for the inputs, I think it's back to the market research part I was speaking about. Really, all the signals we can share about the market, the competition, this has to come before the actual roadmap prioritization process. So this is really food for thought, food for sharing with product managers for the roadmap. Then we actually do some back and forth because we know many things about the market. They also have a lot of great insights, so it's quite of a discussion on that matter. And speaking about the communication, you're right, we are the same, so we grow really fast, and you cannot communicate the same way with 100 employees and 500, obviously, and it can't only be the role of product manager, even though you have the feeling to speak about roadmap every single day. It's hard because you meet someone in the cafeteria and they tell you, oh, what is a roadmap, by the way? And you're like, oh, is that possible? So the role also of product marketing is to explain what a roadmap is, what is behind the roadmap. For us, we switch to the know, next, later framework. So it's a lot of explanation of what it means. It's a change in mindset for those who know what it means. So we have to not only to announce that one day, it's a continuous process. We have not finished with that. So product marketing definitely play a role in as an evangelist, kind of, to explain what it means to change to feature factory, to really building a product and having priorities, but no delivery dates to share, very different. So we play that role, not alone with product management, but they can't communicate alone, even though they are doing that every day.
God, I wish we had now, next, later. Unfortunately, we don't at Contour. It's very much a product roadmap on per quarter. And I think I would also split it out by internal communication or involvement and external involvement. So at Contour, it is our responsibility to communicate the product roadmap, again, in a way where we sell it to different stakeholders. So if I'm speaking to someone, let's take a feature that's about to come out. Let's say Get Pin is one that actually your team is working on, Bruno. So this is the ability, and I know this is kind of late. We know that we're late on this. The ability to be able to see your pin on your Contour app. So if you forgot your card pin, you don't have to necessarily order a new card. You just get to check it or change it and then use it. Sounds simple. But the way that we would pitch it to, let's say, customer success would be like, hey, guess what? You will no longer get 1,000 questions around, where is my pin? I forgot my pin. Can you please help me? So you pitch it that way to someone in customer success. Whereas on the other hand, you would pitch it to someone in, let's say, activation. So like, let's say revenue. I would say, guys, this will help us increase card revenue because finally people can use their card at any point in time because they can check their PIN whenever wherever they go. So it's really about internal selling of the roadmap and positioning the right way for each of the teams. We have a Contour internally publicly available roadmap that actually PMM updates on a regular basis with the help of the PM team with approximate ETAs. So we stick to quarters. So we try to make that happen. And then when it comes to actually influencing it, I think something that we've just recently shifted to, which has been super cool for my team, is we have actual subject matter experts now. So as I mentioned, we have different sections in finance that we focus on. So we have spend management, we have bookkeeping, we have the basic bank account. And so now the team has really the expertise on each of these topics. So the way that we influence is, as you mentioned, also the market research, the competitive research, the insights of where we're trending, depending on the topic from, again, a commercial standpoint.
Thanks. Let's switch from the roadmap to the actual launch of the feature. There's another team you collaborate a lot with. We discussed a lot about the product team. How do you actually collaborate with the marketing team? There is people in the company who are paid to actually communicate on the feature. How do you collaborate with them? How do you make sure that, once again, you collaborate and you don't go over the job?
Any marketing? No. Anyway, if you're attached to product, you have to make sure you understand marketing. And if you are linked to marketing, you have to understand product. So anyway, you have a challenge. Yeah.
PMMs in here. How many of you report to PMMs?
Okay, that's interesting.
Interesting.
And how many to products? Ah, okay, that's interesting. So we are exceptions to the rules because we are reporting to product. And definitely there is a challenge to work with marketing after, but for us, it's quite clear. We are expert of the products, like we know the product well, and we can simplify and explain what it is or not inside the products. Same for the competition aspect and the market. Marketing for us is really expert about where to reach specific customers, which language they should adapt to target those customers. They are media, CRM experts in that matter. So we give them food that they need to adapt in tone and messages to do the campaign and have the right expectation. So it's a specific. I know it's not the same inside each companies. It really depends also the way product marketing was built. But this is how we collaborate with marketing.
Actually, I've had a peek into both worlds. I used to report into the CMO at LinkedIn, and now I report into our CPO here. I think it both has advantages and disadvantages, frankly. When I reported into our CMO, what was nice was that it was my team. So I would ping somebody and be like, okay, so I want to launch this social media campaign. Let's work on that together. Or, you know, we all have the same acquisition target. We need to acquire this many new customers. So I have another idea as to how we can drive that forward. So it was really nice from that perspective. What was tougher was that we couldn't influence the roadmap as much because, again, we were not sitting with the product managers directly. What I love now is that we are super close to you guys and we have the same vision. We work really closely together. We understand the product inside and out. Also some elements of the tech side, which is helpful. But what's tough, of course, for us also is the fact that then marketing have or the growth team have their own acquisition targets and priorities that also in our case, what's tough gets set at a yearly pace. So already now they plan for 2022. Okay, what are our brand campaigns going to look like? When are we launching what? How are we going to acquire customers throughout the year? In what countries? And as you probably know, product roadmaps are really hard to plan ahead on 1 year scale. So it's going to be a bit of an alignment conversation throughout the year because we will not know what we're going to launch this time next year, frankly. We will, it will change. However, what I'm super excited about is the fact that we have aligned KPIs now at executive level. So luckily we're working towards the same goal, which helps us align. And again, we're all trying to achieve the same thing at the end of the day.
Thanks. There's something you said on the fact that you have several markets at Open Classroom. We do have 4 markets here at Conto. I'm not sure that everyone has a lot of countries open for their company. How do you actually internationalize everything that you do? I believe that the target in Italy is not the same as in France, same especially for you. What makes internationalization a real topic for you to work on?
So you're speaking about, we have different markets in France and also international piece. About international, it's actually, it's becoming more and more of a challenge for product marketing, to be honest. And we have open positions to focus specifically on,
Please apply to Conto first.
To work specifically on that part because we need to adapt our products much more. Let's take one example. We are doing apprenticeship. So most people in France know what apprenticeship is. It's totally different in the UK. The rules are different. It's in UK, actually, you need to convince a company first to work with you as a training provider, and then you both publish job offers to people looking for a job. So in France, it's different. You convince someone to study with you, and then you suggest apprenticeship as a way to study. So you need to understand, again, the market specificities and adapt the product. So we are really into that right now. We are doing business in both UK and US, for instance, with the exact products we have today. And we need to tailor and personalize much more. So that's why we have open positions in product marketing for that. And the US, it's again totally different. Speaking about apprenticeship, it's kind of a new, not exactly, but it's a new concept compared. So they are really interested in knowing the way we do in France, actually, which is quite surprising for us. They are asking more questions than trying to know. Usually they ask questions about the product, trying to find why, and now they are really interested in knowing the expertise we have in this model in France and Europe in general.
So Conto is in 4 markets as well. So Germany, Italy, and Spain, in addition to France. And I think it's still very tricky for us, to be honest. Right now, we're very much France first because this is our main market. And so we almost, as a second thought, think about, oh, international. And so far, we've been really focused on just making sure that we have a local product offering by making sure everything's translated. I know that sounds really silly and basic, but it is super important. Also, cultural references. And that's something I'm very passionate about because in German, oftentimes we just, tutoyer the people. It's not possible, basically. And the same in France, actually. So from a translation language perspective, and then also, like you said, we are trying to find ways of better localizing the product offering. So for instance, in Italy, we recently launched F24, which none of you know what that is. But for you to be able to pay your taxes, you need to be able to be connected to F24 in Italy. So our whole basically offering wasn't valuable to these customers because we didn't have this vital part. And then now we're looking at, for instance, in Germany, people love having cash. So right now we have no ability to cash deposit anywhere with Conto as an account. So that's also something that we're thinking about for prioritizing for countries. Just something I want to highlight that's super challenging though, is as you have an ambitious global product roadmap, I'm sure you run into this as well. How do you make tech time and time to actually build just local products for a market that isn't as developed yet? So we're struggling with it as much, but we're working through it.
You need to localize your message and the product at the same time, and that's quite a challenge. My response was mostly for product marketing, but in terms of company, we also have a lot of customers, for instance, in Africa, but we do not localize it that much. They are quite looking for the French diplomas and French teaching method, but we do have initiative to make sure we are accredited in the different areas, so both in Africa, UK, US. So that's also a big challenge, but it's managed by another team.
I'll keep digging in the segmentation question. We discussed about the countries and localization. What about the different targets you have in a single country? For us, we have several different targets and persona, as we call them. How do you manage to create messages for each of them? Or do you manage to keep consistency across all the messages you're going to put out? Any answer on that?
That's really tough. So that's easier when you're part of the marketing team. Probably for those of you who work in product marketing as part of marketing, you know the personas inside and out. For us, it's a bit different. We're only just reestablishing our personas. We actually have 5. So we have company creators, we have freelancers, we have micro businesses, small businesses, and medium businesses. And you can imagine from a financial perspective, the one needs something completely different to the other. And then what doesn't help is, in addition to that, even though the growth team thinks in these 5 categories, we actually think in product categories. So like finding a way to match these together is really tough. And so what I mentioned earlier is that my team is now specializing in certain product categories. So what's super amazing is that they actually now have the bandwidth and can deep dive to understand how does, let's say, a freelancer use bookkeeping? What do they care about? What is it that they need from us? How do they, see the value? How will they want to adapt the product? What we're still struggling with, I just want to be super frank with you guys, and maybe I can give you a heads up so you can think about this in your startup already. Right now, the way that we're tracking data from the growth perspective is very top funnel. So we can target someone. We know that you're a freelancer, for instance. The moment you come onto Conto, we don't really know that you're a freelancer. So we know which price plan you've chosen, but it's really tough for us to, at the moment, understand your behavior so that we can trigger you the right type of adoption messaging, depending on what persona you reflect. So I haven't figured that yet out. We're working on it, but I just wanted to be honest, and maybe you guys can think about that already. Or maybe you have an idea.
Yeah, I wanted to. That's definitely a tough one because we also have many persons. We have a matrix that is quite complex because We have people who wants to study, the one really taking the courses and the trainings. We have the one paying, it can be a public body or a company. We have the one who wants to have information about how is it going. It can be the manager, the HR, and another one paying, even though it's kind of public money, still they need to finally say it's okay for us to go with this solution. So we need to understand how they intervene in the decision process. And this goes for large companies, small companies, individuals, and we have also very local specificities again. And it's fun when we have international people joining the company. They have to understand what is CPF, what are the OPCO, if anyone knows what this is. And it's really a complex word to understand. So first we try to have theoretical personas and to understand the motivation of each one and how they join the decision process. But then I agree, then we have a challenge trying to merge this theory with the real data, the real world, and what they are doing on our platform. And I won't say it's perfect. We try to do better. We tried sometimes just to ask, even if it's ask again, that's okay. Sometimes ask again who you are or what is the size of your company. If you explain why you are asking those questions, it's way better. So for instance, we ask people about the localization, and we explain it's not just to track you, it's because we have specific funding opportunities for you on specific locations. So usually we just try to explain each time we ask for a personal question, explain specifically why we ask that and we use that. But it's definitely not perfect, and we have to prioritize the persona as well because we cannot cover the whole matrix all the time.
After all you said tonight, it seems that just like PM, actually PMM is a job that requires a lot of different skills. We can see it in your background. You come from sales and you've done a lot of things. You worked in companies really different from the startup world. What does it take to be a good PMM today? Or can you become a good PMM? And where do you find PMMs?
Good one. You type product marketing manager on LinkedIn. No, I'm kidding. I tried. It's it's a small word. Actually it's you can, and we have this example. You can come from product or from marketing more. You can come from sales or customer experience. So the background can vary a lot. And inside a team, I think we should have different type of person. I like to have some person that are quite technical, because if you need to, for instance, to understand the CPF background system, you need to understand some technical things, and it's better to have this background, for instance. But if you work more on the content side, trying to do the copy, explain how it works, do a lot of that part, work on the product pages, for instance, it's better to have like a communication of our marketing background. So we do not close the door by default to any background. And then it's more, trying to see if you're able to manage both sides. Like, as I said, trying to, maybe if you've done consulting for the market research, that could be a very, very plus. And if you work on communication for the other side, and then you won't cover the whole. So we try as a team to have the different profile, and looking for people. We just have job offers, and we come to events, and and we source candidates, but there is no one single formula to find the good profile, for sure.
I 100% agree with everything you just said. I think also product marketing as a whole is very new still in Europe. And even though there's been product marketers probably for the last 10, 15 years in the US, I feel like it's only come up maybe the last 2-3 years here. So I think we also need to first educate on the fact that product marketing can require any of those skill sets. I think it makes it quite harsh when you just put a product marketing title and people don't feel like they can apply. For me, it's really just being curious, being really customer obsessed. That's super important. Again, I come from a sales background, so I really want my team to think and feel like the customer, and then being able to translate really complex messages into something very simple that you can then sell internally. And another plus is to be able to actually use and analyze data, which, like you said, kind of like you need someone technical. It's just super nice because we can be even more convincing in product marketing if we understand the data and the impact any of our actions is having. So if you know how to work with that as well, you have. So basically, you need to be perfect. We're amazing. No, I'm joking. Like it really is. My team is a super big area of people who have all different amazing skills, and then you just leverage the person on the team to educate everyone else and become superstar generalists. Basically, I hope this answers your question, kind of.
Just to complete, to be very specific about, we do interviews, and we all in any part of the business, we have business cases, and actually it's very good moment to move from theory, because it's very easy to speak theoretically about product marketing and to have very specific exercise to do. Not big challenges. It's really to see the way people think about a topic, and it's really most of the time where we really see the potential, and it can be from any background really.
Thank you. We also have a case study, and I think that's the perfect opportunity for the candidate and us to analyze, because even the candidate going through the experience of launching a feature basically in an interview environment. And I just wanted to grab the mic to say that we're also hiring, just in case anyone's interested. Sorry. Okay.
Thank you. Maybe one last question from me before we jump to your question. You said a lot of things on the PMM job, the mission and everything. If we were to sum it up in one sentence, if I were to talk in product world, what is the ultimate mission and maybe even KPI of a PMM person?
Definitely not prepare that.
Take a minute before that.
Maybe you guys can think of your questions already.
Think of your question. I will go around.
Okay, not one sentence, but I would take one word. I think if there is one, it's simplify. And this sum up many of what we do. It's simplifying many complex information about the market, the competition. So we simplify this part. And then we need to simplify the product, so we are sure people understand what it is, how it works, and why they need to purchase it. So simplifying, it's main thing. It can be with data, with text, with presentation, whatever, but simplifying is really a core. And if we take KPIs, that would be how people understood at the end. So we actually put quizzes and many things internally to make sure people really understand what we are doing. And yeah, sometimes you're surprised. You try to have them do the demo you just did, and you have some surprise. But that's the way you're sure you're really understood.
Stole everything I was about to say. No, I definitely think the simplify works. I would use that if I can steal your positioning in one sentence. For KPI, I think for us, it's quite tough because there's so many KPIs we influence, but none we really own. So for instance, I would have said NPS, but of course, NPS is also super important for product. You guys will build something that's brilliant and we'll make sure that people see the value. I would also say, and again, me coming from a sales background, but retention and revenue and acquisition is something I look at with my team to see how can we help drive acquisition? How can we help position the product so that they adopt it and then will retain and will stay customers? So I guess it's a mixture between happiness about the product plus actually then spending the money and staying with us on the long run.
Thank you. Good one for improvisation. So now, do you have any question? Oh. And this one's going to be for you, Ben.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Thanks so much for sharing your insights. And I wanted to say I share your pain of not owning your KPIs, the same thing. And I wanted to ask you, so you are both in product teams. How often do you interact with the marketing team and with other PMMs? And on what subjects?
Well, I can speak for myself, but the PMMs every day, we really work together and we share expertise. And like I said, we have amazing skills that are different on the team. So we will always leverage each other every minute of the day. And then marketing, also every day, because we literally, there is maybe 2 channels that we currently control ourselves. One is, or not even control fully ourselves. One is internal app pop-up when we announce something's new. That's one we PMM controls. The second is FAQs, but then we work with customer success as well. Everything else, we need marketing. So yeah.
Same here, just for marketing, it's more on project base every day, depending on the project. But we do have touch points every week to have a cross-team vision of all the things happening, because sometimes it's all over the place and we need a single moment where we are like, oh, we moved that, and do you agree? And the 2 teams are growing, so we need this touch point to make sure we have a common vision of different moves.
Hello. I was wondering, how do you make sure that you get the proper international insights? I mean, if you need to get user feedbacks in Germany, for example, does it mean that you have a German PMM in market, or do you use freelancers? You should. Melt.
That's a good. So again, we are hiring native Americans, but for internet, it depends. Right now, we have actually people working from the different countries we cover, so we can definitely ask them. We work also with some independent workers if needed on that space. But now we are at a stage we want someone international, dedicated, coming from the specific country, US first and UK potentially. So that's.
You'll be happy to hear we don't use freelancers. So the way that we work for localization or local customer feedback is numerous ways. We actually do have a local sales team. So we always speak to them and try to understand locally, how do people react when you try to pitch. On the other hand, we also have product managers, luckily, because we have more product managers here at Conto that are local. And so they will do customer research on their end as well that we can tap into. And then I'm not sure if any of you know this tool. It's called Chattermill. It's a really great way of basically combining all the different research or insights, customer insights, resources that we have, and summarizing them in one place. So these are NPS surveys. If anyone gives us feedback, if they share feedback for a customer success representative, it all populates and gets translated into English. And so we can actually also dive deeper into real customer feedback we've received from Germany, from a certain type of custom, for example. Still not perfect, and we also eventually want to grow to have a local PMM in each market.
Hi, everyone. My question is for smaller organizations that do not have PMMs yet. When do you know it's time to have your first PMM? And then 2 follow-up questions. The first one is, yeah, I'm a bit hungry, sorry. The first is, how do you pitch it to your leadership? And then second question, so third actually. What's you think is the smart move between having someone from your company stepping up to PMM versus hiring a seasoned PMM professional?
Do you maybe want to? No, actually, this is perfect because we both represent an answer to your question. Maybe you want to speak to how you became a PMM.
So that's exactly I would say, you need to do it when you spend more than half of your time actually doing PMM work as PM more than actual PM work, because you come to a stage, you have so many good things and people don't know, even inside the company, they don't know, and you're producing new things, and you realize there is a gap between perception and what's really happening. So I think this is the right moment to really switch into this stage. And for my part, actually, that's what happened. So I was doing product management and I was doing more and more of product marketing task. So working on the demo part, working on sales enablement, spending a lot of time with people inside the company, explaining the way the product works and the value of it, doing research on the side, trying to justify why, based on the market, this specific transition was needed, with less and less time to actually work on the specific issues and trying to find the solution to it. So that's where I realized that it was possible. And for my part, I started doing it before having the opportunity to really create the department, and so prove it until you yeah, exactly, that's the fake it until you make it, and prove that it has value. It's for 1 year also, I was alone doing product marketing, and everyone at some point was coming to me saying, oh, could you ask your team to do that? And I was sure, but again, I have no team yet. So you do that for a while, and then you're like, okay, so let's speak about the team now, and we are growing very fast, and you get trust, then you can expand. I think that's the best way to move, not asking from scratch with no real assets to show.
I think that answers the question as to when and at what point. And then just quickly adding to how you sell it. I think that my team sold itself, which is so powerful. We came, there was 2 product marketing managers already here when I joined, actually, and they've done an amazing job, super understaffed, because we had basically hundreds of features launching, and they were executing on the launch. And then once we started to become more and more people, we actually were able to really get involved in the entire product roadmap. And suddenly all the PMs saw the value, and they're like, I want a PMM that works for my team. So now I'm getting asked by my CPO, hire, we want to double the team. So kind of going back to what you were saying, I think you show the value, you show the impact you can have, and then immediately that follows the hiring. Maybe not just tonight, because tonight we're trying to hire for Open Classroom and Conto, but then going forward, you should find someone.
That's also what I said sometimes to my team. I tell them, if you do too much of a good job, you will see it really fast. And that's so true. You start being pinged on Slack all the time, and people like go right away to ask questions. And it's you really see the value, and it comes from sales, marketing, products, all over the place. It's not the most the best KPI, but you know then that you're doing quite a.
My question concerns your relationship with the product manager, like the typical product manager. Would you identify a frequent situation? I wouldn't say like a conflict, but like a difference in views during releases or during road mapping that happens often between you and the product manager?
Not sure. So moment where we don't have the same point of view regarding, basically it's when a product manager really thinks it's game changer, and you have to refocus on a specific segment to say, definitely this is a big change for this segment, but this is not something to communicate all over the place, and it won't be efficient enough. So I think this is the kind of discussion we need to have. So it's good to speak about segment, persona, to make sure who is impacted by this. Let's take an example. We have features on our platform for, so we are doing mentoring 101 every week between mentors and students using the platform. So they are doing online sessions, and they communicate through the platform. And sometimes we release changes on the way we manage the session, the way they communicate. So it's very important for many people, but we need to explain why it's matter really for mentors, sometimes less for the students, because it can be something totally done and just on the mentor side. For instance, the way we manage payments for the mentors, we don't want to communicate that to all the place, but they would sometimes like to put that on Slack and as any other release. So we need to say, let's do it more focused, but better. So I think that's the main.
We definitely have had those frictions in the past as well. Something that we developed to manage expectations more is actually launch categories. So we have epics, which we already communicate to the product team. Those happen maybe twice a year. So these are huge product launches. Then we have majors, and they either rely on acquisition, so they'll impact acquisition of customers in a positive manner, or they're an improvement that will help the customer see more value in the product. And then we have aware launches. And so the PMs know about this module, and then together we decide, okay, guys, like given the fact that this is not really impacting revenue, or this is not necessarily going to change the entire life of a customer, this is more so an aware launch. And then they're aware of the kinds of channels that we have in place to communicate about an aware launch. So right now, because it's quite transparent, there isn't necessarily complications, even though I know every PM thinks that their product is the most amazing in the world. But now it helps because it's just managing expectations from the start. Someone from the back all the time. Sorry about that.
So you mentioned that it's a rather new role in Europe and that you're hiring from diverse backgrounds. And so I was curious, when you have the new PMMs onboarded, how you get them up to speed, how they collaborate with one another.
That would be a question for the team, right? More than it. We try to do a good onboarding. I had a special case, actually. Someone in my team joined when I was in maternity leave, like because it was a few months ago. So thank you. So I prepared as much as I could, and I think it's a lot about preparation. So trying to have so we use Notion, as many of you might. So we try really to have all the information in one single page, and enrich. Each time we have a newcomer, we ask the newcomers to work on this content as well, because you have fresh eyes, and put also the things that was the most useful when they join, the things they spend time trying to figure out. So it's about preparation. And when you have someone joining, and that's why I explained, I have someone who joined, I wasn't there, but it's so because the team itself is doing an amazing job by being really close to each other. So the two of them, they really spend time every day. And we have this, we are working remotely mostly. So we have a morning session every day. You don't have to come, but it's a moment where we share what are the big things of the day, what is coming, what happened the day before. And it's also a moment where you have this sense of being one team. And I think it's very important, especially when you join remotely a company and you have a lot of questions. So a small touch point every day is very important.
Definitely. So because we've just hired basically the entire new team, net new, we built an onboarding guide that really focuses on actually shadowing those in real time. So you have a step-by-step onboarding guide of things that we expect from you per week. Not as rigid as it sounds, but just to give a chance to actually see the work in real life. And then we have usually a buddy on the team that also looks after you, because I think that there are certain questions that they don't want to necessarily ask the manager, so they have a teammate to go to at any point in time. And I think then we are really keen on cross-functional collaboration, so we make sure that we educate the cross-functional teams on the new hire and really find ways to plug them into the day-to-day as soon as possible. I think that you learn by doing, especially in this job.
I can add something. We also are lucky because it's not only the department. As a company, we have great onboarding. We have a training. Yeah, no, but we actually have a training inside our platform that is just about onboarding, where you have projects to do. So we are sure you meet different people from different teams. You have exercises to make sure you're using the different tools. So yeah, we are doing onboarding training, and we have mentors inside the company. We are doing remote random coffees. So I think the company is also helping a lot. It should not be only a question for the different departments.
Thank you for coming. I had a question about backward. You said that you have to prove the value into your company. And I was wondering, what is the moment for you when your company changed their mind about your job indeed? I don't know if the question is clear, but to me, the PPM role is still not unclear to me. That's why I'm asking this question.
I think it's close to the question. there is a question of moment and a way to do. And way to do, I think it's by proving, because you can, and we did a lot of presentation papers to the C team, many different person inside the company to explain again what was product marketing compared to growth marketing compared to product. You can put tons of slides or documents. At some point, you also, I think the most efficient is to prove it by actually doing it. So take maybe one project and show the value of doing the more research at the beginning on the market, maybe larger than what you can do as a product manager usually. And then try to work a launch plan and invest much more time and energy into launching to show that it's worth doing it, and use KPIs to prove the value of what you've done.
I think for us, it was a moment in time where my CPO said to me, like, I think the feature is higher quality when a PMM is involved. So these are just, and again, nothing, the product managers are brilliant. All of you are working really thoughtfully and strategically. I think where the PMM adds value is just thinking about the entire user journey in a whole bigger picture. So what, might a user need to do before even getting to this feature? How should we make sure that we educate in the right manner? So that was one point in time. And then especially when it comes to growth, from the growth team side, anytime that we talk about a persona now, or even any pages on the website that slightly even touch something to do with product, they always request us to help review it, because they see that we add the value of precisely, in a very succinct way, highlight what the value add is. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's basically these moments in time when you realize, okay, the PMM really is here to elevate the positioning and the product itself. As in like moment in time, December 20,000. I don't know about exact moment in time when they thought about PMM. Oh, great. But actually we have, and maybe this is somewhat confidential, but maybe basically what we were thinking about, but basically we had a very strict vision on our spend management roadmap and exactly what we wanted to do and exactly who we wanted to target. And then Rita on my team, who owns spend management as a category, actually did a lot of customer research and found out that the way to get into our customer base was actually by a very outdated spend management feature that we would have never thought about building. And now we've seen that this is the foot in the door and we are actually going to build it. So I don't know if that gives you a bit of an example, but this is where we really completely reshuffled everything, because we had an insight that helped us understand that we were being way too innovative for our customer base.
Thank you. We'll take maybe 2 or 3 last questions, and then we'll switch to networking.
Hi, thanks for sharing your insights. I have a 2-in-1 question. First one is, usually we have like 2 aspects of the job as PMM, like product PMM and business PMM. So for example, on my side, I have this product aspect, and I also have the business aspect. Like when launching a new segment, we decide to target manufacturing companies. How do you set up an efficient go-to-market to crack or to go up market for a specific segment? And second part of the question, when you do both parts of the job, how do you ensure that you set up an efficient product feedback loop to crack all those segments? Because usually they have different needs. They don't want the same thing, very different persona. And just like you have one specific product team for expenses for different aspects of the products. How do you prioritize the different business segments, and how do you manage it as PMM? Because you have both aspects of the job. You need to satisfy the PM, I will say, and then you need to satisfy the business segment owner. Sorry.
No, but tell me if I'm not understanding well your question. I will try. I think I asked myself all those questions when I had to suggest and recommend an organization for product marketing. And I looked at, there are many different ways to do it. Some are putting content on the side and research on the other side, so organized by skills mainly. You can also be organized really linked to products. So basically one product marketing manager per product manager. So the squads or whatever tribes or whatever the name of the person working on product, you can be totally linked to that. This is not what we decided. We decided to go more for the business focus, as you said, to ensure the transversality of product marketing. Because if it was only focusing on the way product management is organized, we would look too much at that side, on that side, and we need to think and understand really the way revenue is challenged and needs. So we went from big business lines like B2C, B2G, government, so the public part, and B2B, and inside those type of things, we would have more specialized role and position. But first, we wanted to align on business. Is that responding to the question? Okay. So can you say again the second?
Yes, second part was more when you set up a feedback loop, I would say, like between the business and the product part, how do you measure the impact, and what do you provide to your PM to say, oh, this is a bet we have to take? What metrics are you looking at, and how do you build your speech, I will say, when you come with a list of features you want to prioritize to support a specific segment? Or
it really depends on the copy and what you want to push. There is no one single KPI that would cover. If you're looking more at a revenue, let's say you want to target a segment, obviously you will have to show that there is a market traction, there is a space. So you will look at TAM, market sizing, this type of things. If it's more showing that this working with product management, because this is their role too, to explain that this specific feature or this specific part of the product has value, you will look at the other. So it really depends. But what is important is to align across revenue, marketing, business, and product. And you're there also to make sure there is a coherent goals. And again, I hope I answered.
Hi. So I might have missed this, but basically we serve very large organizations where I work. And my CMO has tasked me with setting up customer advisory boards where we give very large customers the opportunity to influence the roadmap. On top of all the insights you get in product boards, the discussions the PMs already have, the sales team already has. I don't know if any of you have experience with this and what are like the key success factors to setting up such boards and how to run them throughout the year.
Yes, actually. So at Conto, we have an ambassador program as well, but that's only just starting. So we don't really have insights on the effect of it yet. At LinkedIn, we had a custom advisory board, of course, as well. The question I have for you is, who gets invited, the decision maker or the user?
In our case, it should be both.
Okay.
Because not all users, but representatives of the users. So.
Because I think what we learned at LinkedIn was we wanted the fancy, okay, CHROs, I guess, all come into a room, tell us what the vision is for HR and talent for you guys in the future. I think this has a place, and there's definitely value add in getting insights from, thought leaders. Side note, this is how I built the WeWork All Access, Global All Access Pass product, talking to all the executives of our largest customers. But I think in most cases, it's actually more valuable to speak to the users. So we had a more powerful custom advisory board of people that literally spent more time in the product than we would have ever had. And from there, we definitely got a lot of insights on more usability and adoption and discoverability, things like that. not necessarily here is a next billion-dollar idea. So I think it depends. You need to have a set of objectives, and then also really be really clear about managing expectations on their side, because there's nothing that's more frustrating to a customer than spending hours sharing their brilliant ideas, and then they're like, so when are they on the product roadmap? So I think that's also something that you want to be really careful about. But I think it's another really powerful way of kind of accumulating customer insights for the product roadmap, for sure, just with a grain of salt.
Okay. Me, I have two questions. The first one is about, let's say, when you are in a sector where you have, which is heavily regulated, like in the healthcare or in
Sorry, which sector? Do you mind repeating?
For example, in the health tech sectors or in the MECTOR.
Okay.
Yeah. And in those sectors, you know, you don't have the right to tell your messages and as in the other sectors. And you don't even have the right to use some channels that the other sector will be allowed to use. Yeah, so I would like to know if maybe in your experience till now, you have dealt with this kind of issues and how you have managed them. Yeah, so that's the first question.
Okay, surprisingly, the the learning sector is really highly regulated.
Yeah, we are also really regulated because we own accreditations, so we are audited, and there are things you can say and some others you can't. You are not speaking about a diploma or your own copy. So in terms of copy, we need to make sure the accreditation team is in the loop to not to say it's good or not, but to say you can or you can't say that. So we do a lot of back and forth with them, trying to find the right balance between selling and making sure you use the words you can use. So this is more for the copy and selling. And in terms of products, again, we have and it's not inside product marketing, but there is a accreditation team and a legal team, and they are actually looking at compliance to different laws. It's very important for them to do that, and for product marketing to understand the law and the what are the limits of what you can do and what you can't. It's tough because sometimes the texts are not that simple, but it's really key, so you make a difference at the end, because you find these spots where actually there are things you can change, and you can also change the things. So at Open Classrooms, for instance, speaking back again to apprenticeship, before, apprenticeship was supposed to start at a specific moment in time, so most of the time in September, and we changed that, and you can actually start apprenticeship all over the year. So you need also to find where you can prove and convince that this can change and that this doesn't impact the industry badly. So yeah, many aspects, but obviously it's something big you need to take into account. If not, you will know very, very soon.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so my second question is that sometimes as a PMM, you have to deal with incertitude. So sometimes you are like, you are facing a value proposition coming from the product manager guys, and you don't know maybe if this is coherent or not. So sometimes I would like to know at your level, how do you usually deal with this kind of situation? And how, and when you, and once you, let's say you have, let's say, proof about the fact that this direction is not good, it is the wrong direction, how do you usually influence, let's say, the product management guys so that they will improve their roadmaps even after doing the prioritization?
Actually, I think this is something that is needed from both sides, both on product and product marketing. At some point, you need to discuss and make a point. And I think the main point here, it should not be too ego speaking. You won't find any final good decision. It's really about facts and trying to have data market research elements, feedback from users that might know better than you. So try to avoid this. I think and I don't know about your specific example, but if the discussion is about I think and the other people think, or if you speak about your personal usage, I think this is going to the wrong way to discuss. You need to be partners. So it's not about this specific discussion, it's about the whole collaboration. So try to prove, and if you can't find, just say, let's test it. We test two ways. We take a small sample of customers, we do a survey, or we test it live on the platform, let's say, and you will have your answer, but don't be only discussing about opinions. That might not be the best way to collaborate.
And I'm sorry to break the news, but it's going to be our last question for tonight, but don't worry, Tony Freda will stay for a few minutes after the conference.
Hi, thank you very much for sharing your experience tonight. My question was more about your teams. I'm interested in how is the PMM scope divided in your teams, with what type of profiles, and how your teams are structured.
Great question. We're still, by the way, figuring it out always. So the way that we currently are, there is 7 of us. There is going to be 2 more joining in January, plus more. So definitely a lot of us on the team so far. Right now, I think we have a ratio of about 4 or 5 PMs to 1 PMM, just to give some context. And as I mentioned, we've only just restructured to be more product category focused. So that means, and this is where we're still struggling a little bit, their scope is really a lot. So they focus on doing research. Well, first of all, understanding the market and the market trends, doing customer research. Then once they've done that, actually helping develop the roadmap, then actually working with the PMs to do what we call value analysis. So looking into how to even build a certain feature. So they're really following the entire feature from the moment of ideation to launch plus tracking and adoption. And that currently is tough because we launch probably 1 feature every 2 weeks minimum. And so I would say that what we're starting with is having these product category owners, because what we do see is that efficiency increases because now they understand bookkeeping. So it's really fast for them to launch these features. However, I think we'll need to start adding more resources under each of these categories to be able to follow through the entire phase. So maybe that means that there's one head of bookkeeping and people will actually work on features underneath. But I still really think that it's super powerful for the PMM to see everything, even if their skill set is stronger, let's say in copy. That's where we're trying to leverage each other to upskill. So my team, for example, we have almost 2 hours every Friday where we focus on a topic that's either UX copywriting, or it's maybe customer research, or it's someone who's super good with data and showing us an example, so that we have that kind of internal knowledge sharing. I'm basically asking everything of them.
Same here for now, and I'm not saying it won't change. Obviously, when you're growing a lot, you change your organization many times. But for now, we try, and because I think it's more interesting, it's more complete to have the whole scope of product marketing. So we are divided. So we have the team here. So one is responsible for B2B, and we have someone joining next week in that specific area. We have someone, Barbara, here, we're also working on all the scope for B2C, B2G, so government, the public area. And we have a role also open specific to CPF, because it's a really tricky thing. And rather than having someone just doing the content, I want someone to really understand this specific platform. That is, there are specific rules, specific things you can do, and we need someone owning really the whole scope of it. So it's a specific product marketing role. And we also have a position more on the international side. So we spoke about that, and on the CRM part of it. So most of the positions are quite complete. It might change because we grow, but for now, we'll have people with different background, but it's also what makes the team richer, and they need to make sure they share their skills and their experience with the others. So I would be very happy to have people coming from a product or from communication, and many other options are possible. And we have many open positions today, yeah.
What a conclusion. Teresa, Pauline, anything to add before we wrap up?
Just thank you for asking so many questions. I wasn't sure it would be that interesting, so thank you a lot. I know it's an intense moment to go in live to an event, and I asked myself many questions about that. So thank you for joining. It was really a pleasure, and it's very interesting to see that we are all asking questions. And keep in mind, everything changed, and I think from the hand raised, product marketing is not that mature and the company are changing. So we evolve, and what we said today might be different in 2 months. And that's what also is great working in scaling companies.
Also, thank you so much for coming. And what's the most exciting part is I think that the people that will make this job evolve are sitting in this room. So I'm really excited that you guys are so interested, and definitely maybe in a few weeks, we'll go to your talk about product marketing. So few months. Okay, sorry. Well, yeah, after everything's safe again. And thank you so much, Bruno, for being our host and MC, especially being a product manager. We really do love each other. I just want to make that clear.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Pauline, for coming tonight. It was a real pleasure. Always a real pleasure to have you in the house. You said it, Pauline. We don't know when next time will be for some obvious reason. Hopefully in January, maybe February. So please try to survive until then. See you next time. Thanks a lot.